I'd be lying if I told you DC didn't have a Batman problem. What problem? Well, there's too many Batman, not enough connected universes, and they all are very similar to each other. I'm gonna paint a bit of a picture for you. I myself am a bit of a grounded Batman fan. I really do enjoy it, but a lot of people tell you that they are a bit tired of that trope. And to be quite frank, I'd be literally lying to your face if I told you that I didn't want to see what an overpowered Batman looks like. A Batman that could save Gotham City in a single night. First, we have to look at how this all started, and honestly, we'd have to take it all the way back to the Nolan trilogy. There is something that we do have to admit. Christopher Nolan's 3 movies here not only are the biggest Batman movies to ever be made by DC, but they are the catalyst of this trope itself. And yes, this does exist in the comics, but Christopher Nolan's movies made this infinitely more popular, and it's quite hard to deny that. Now, at first, Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins movie wasn't the biggest movie of all time, but over time, his trilogy became the highest grossing DC films ever, practically. His universe was really grounded. It was real. You could really feel it. Now, these villains can't shapeshift or destroy planets or cast magic on you, but you see, the villains in this particular universe are villains that could literally exist in real life, and I would believe it wholeheartedly. They are assassins, corrupt politicians, and people set on nothing but pure chaos. And honestly, people like that in real life do exist, which makes this universe all the more believable. What he did here genuinely set the tone for movies yet to come. I mean, and well, opinions aside, what's there not to love? You've got your mentally troubled billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne, fancy gadgets, a cool suit, a tank of a car, and well, with Christian Bale's unique and really well executed iteration of the character of the Batman, I personally was quite fond of it, and millions of other people were as well. And you can say what you want about the way he played the Batman, but he played the playboy side of Bruce Wayne to a T. But as all Batman fans truly know, he never really was Bruce Wayne. The Batman, the mask itself, was always his true identity. And no, I'm not implying that Christopher Nolan invented any of these tropes. He simply popularized them, and there's really no denying that he did. And let me point out one more time, a lot of people kind of really gravitated towards this universe because he's not fighting Darkseid or Thanos or the Green Goblin. He's fighting, once again, people that could exist in real life, and that really attracted people to this universe. People loved it. And if I may add, Christopher Nolan himself never really expressed any interest in connecting his universe to anything else, or adding 50 Batman characters, or adding 13,000 characters from the insane and vast array of rogues that Batman did have. He barely even gave Batman his own Robin. He only hinted at the fact that Robin did exist in this universe. And with that, Christopher Nolan really made the trilogy that he wanted to make, and it almost took him 8 years to do it, but he did it in the end. Now, after this, he parts ways with the character of the Batman and decides to help on the production of Man of Steel, the new Superman movie, which was the kickoff to the new DCEU universe. And this is where things get a little bit tricky. Let's talk about it.
Why did you say that name?
Find him! Save Martha!
Tell me. Do you bleed?
Now, regardless of if you like or dislike the Snyderverse, the Superman of this universe finally gained a rival, a counterpart of sorts, that being Batman, more specifically, Ben Affleck's Batman. While this Batman may have been a little grounded, this was our first taste as an audience of what a fantastical Batman would look like. Batman that could fight against demigods. Now, outside of this small hint of a fantastical and mythical rendition of the Batman character, he was very dark. He even killed people, and people outside of a few genuinely just didn't like this. Zack Snyder, the creator of this Batman, was known for going against the grain with many of his projects, and while this may please a few fans, the goal with comic book movies is to please the general audience, the majority, and that is an extremely hard thing to do. I've made previous video essays detailing the rise and fall of the DCEU and DCU if you want to check those out, so I won't go too far into detail as to why this simply didn't work. Overall, to make a long story short, this Batman was just a mess. He was very random. going from very dark and sadistic and vengeful to caring to joking and lighthearted, an entire mixed pot of emotion shoved into one character trying too hard to put the pieces back together of an already messed up attempt at a character. In an attempt to basically save face and kind of pull this Batman back together, he was given the ability to make his own Batman movie, and that was going to be called The Batman. And due to creative differences and the actor himself simply just losing interest with the entire ordeal, that was scrapped, and the Batman movie that we did end up getting was a reboot in a Elseworld universe with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves, which was amazing. Now, due to this, the character of the Batman was once again put in limbo. You can't really blame Matt Reeves here. He picked up the ball that was clearly in his court, and he made a great Batman film. He made a great film in general. The only issue is, rather than opting to make this Batman connected to a shared universe alongside James Gunn, he opted to make everything in this universe even more grounded than the Nolan trilogy, going for a more modded up sports car as opposed to a tank like Batman mobile. And rather than going for an all black padded up Batman suit, he opted for a more tactical militaristic looking Batman suit, and honestly I'm a fan of it. Robert Pattinson's iteration of the character was also widely received and loved by many, alongside Christian Bale's performance as Batman. Unfortunately, Ben Affleck did not garner the same attention, but what am I rambling for? Let me tell you. Many people don't know, but the Green Lantern movie that came out a long time ago was actually going to be the start of a shared universe that ended up not working, and then they followed that up by trying to start another verse with the Snyderverse. Now the DCU has been reset, with James Gunn taking over as the co-head, and we're back to square one. This is our third attempt at a shared universe, and now we're going to have to find another Batman. So, what is the Batman problem? As I said, we're on our third attempt at getting this right, but what exactly do people want? A Batman that can fall from the moon and get back unscathed. A Batman that has contingency plans for every character in his verse. A Batman that can convincingly take down Superman. A Batman who can train a dozen different Robins and raise a Bat family to look over Gotham. A Batman with a suit that looks good in any lighting. A Batman that is struggling with the loss of his adopted son, only to find out that he's actually still alive. And he's a murderous vigilante, that being Jason Todd, the Red Hood. The closest we ever got to anything like that was in Snyder's Batman iteration, where he did have a dead Robin, but he opted to make that Robin instead Dick Grayson for whatever reason, essentially throwing out all comic accuracy. I guess the bigger question is, now that we know all this, now that we've talked about it, now that everyone pretty much knows about it, what is DC going to do about it? James Gunn and all of his partners and collaborators at DC are in the perfect position to get this right, to do this right, to please the general audience. The only thing is just doing it at this point. But yeah, that's my little rant. I just wanted to talk about that, and that's really it. Like the video if you'd like to, no biggie. Subscribe if you want to, no biggie. And yeah, take it easy.